Kombat Kids. No, not that weird animated short where child versions of the MK characters brutally murdered each other. I'm talking about Mortal Kombat X's squad of next generation warriors. Hello my fellow oddities and welcome to another design ranking video, this time covering Takeda Takahashi, Cassie Cage, Jacqui Briggs, and Kung Jin. These four are fairly new, but they already have a whole host of designs to cover, so without further ado, let's reiterate the rules for anyone who hasn't seen the previous videos. The first rule is that I will only be ranking designs from Mortal Kombat games. This means no comics, movies, or cartoons, or any crossover appearances in other game franchises. The second rule is that I will not be ranking any repeated or reused designs, so if a design is brought back as a classic outfit or reused for any reason in a later title, I will only be referring to it once in its original appearance. The third rule is strictly for Mortal Kombat 11 only, where I'll only be looking at the costumes featured in the story mode of that game, since MK11 has a lot of outfits I don't find worth talking about. And the fourth and final rule is no Mortal Kombat mobile games, only console releases. RIP goth baddie Cassie Cage, we all know you're number one in our hearts. So let's not waste any more time because we have 22 designs to look at today. Coming in at number 22, we're looking at the consensus best Kombat Kid, who unfortunately ended up with the worst design on this list, Mortal Kombat 1's Chaos skin for Takeda. There's no way these Chaos looks are anything more than costume padding, right? Because I can't imagine a world where someone's looking through their mains palettes and goes, yeah, I want to look like this. It's especially sad for Takeda because this is his only outfit besides the default. Why'd you have to do my mans like this, NRS? Looking at this design, hopefully for not very long, the outfit is just ugly. He looks like an undead K-pop star, but not undead enough to stop being sexy. I don't really know what he's wearing, but it doesn't feel like Takeda. It doesn't feel like a ninja or Shirai Ryu or Yakuza. And then the color scheme, I mean, it's fittingly chaotic, I'll give it that, but it's also horrifically muddy looking. Plus, we're talking a Chaos Realm outfit, and this goes for all the Chaos themed designs. When you can do almost anything, literally let your mind run wild, but this is the best you can come up with, that can't be a lack of creativity, that's just laziness. But anyways, editing oddity, please get this eyesore off my screen. At number 21, I have cybernetic Jacqui Briggs from Mortal Kombat X. I guess since Jacqui's father is technically a cyborg, they gave her something kind of cybernetic. I don't know, dude, I'm trying to give a good explanation for this shit. But this outfit really doesn't feel like a cyborg at all, an actual one or an MK one. It honestly looks like a spacesuit or some sort of robotic armor. The obvious thing to point out here is the bulbous helmet she's wearing. What is this? Why is it a thing? It makes her look goofy, and it's probably why I thought this was meant to be a Xenomorph cosplay for the longest time. Can you even blame me? The colors are also pretty much all black and gray with some glowing blue parts. I personally think red would have made it pop a lot more and feels more like a cyborg, similar to the DC character. If I'm taking this cyborg idea, I'm running with it. Give her arms and fingers gaps in them to show they have fully replaced her real limbs, get rid of the helmet and show some glowing red eyes, have some wires coming out of her, and maybe even a cool voice effect like what the Revenants have. But as it stands, it's a themed skin where I don't really know what the actual theme is. At number 20, I have Takeda's warrior skin from Mortal Kombat X's Apocalypse skin pack. Now, what do I have to say for this design? Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5 did the Apocalypse Warrior concept way better. Look at this. Look how clean and badass and memorable and arousing this outfit is compared to this. This is how you do this idea. This is how you make the idea boring. All of the apocalypse or wasteland aspects of this design are way too subdued. You can barely even tell that there are spikes on it. The goggles are on his forehead instead of over his eyes. Even the little jaw piece he has, which is a really cool idea, is so subtle and barely noticeable that you forget it's even there most times. And the colors, by golly, do the colors absolutely tank this outfit. There's a mod that imports this costume over to Mortal Kombat 1, and look how much better it looks there with a darker, more contrasting color scheme compared to the desaturated light browns of MKX. Credit to the creator of this mod, who I will link on screen, because you showed how salvageable this costume is with even just one simple change. Make the other changes I suggested, and you'll be giving Chris Redfield a run for his money. Though that man has certain assets that will be tough to overcome. At number 19, we have the first appearance of the most shafted Kombat Kid, Kung Jin, with his MKX marksman design from the medieval skin pack. Pretty much everything I said about the Takeda warrior outfit kinda applies here. This one is just a little cleaner, and at least it has some color, even though they are still very washed out. It gives me Robin Hood vibes, which is a good thing and probably what they were going for. But to be honest, archers, especially medieval ones, don't really have super interesting designs usually, at least to me, so this one's already fighting an uphill battle. It's also a shame that they can't change the bow to be something more fitting, cause the default one just does not go with this outfit at all. The colors are obviously a big issue, and I think they could have added more armor. Medieval archers did wear some metal armor, so I think that could have spiced things up a little bit. And also, this is probably just me, but I think Kung Jin's face looks super weird with this costume. I don't really think his face was modeled without the headgear he has on his default in mind, cause he's got a Giga Chin, I'm sorry. I guess you could call him Kung Chin. I'm sorry, that was, oh my god. At number 18, I have Jacqui's Mortal Kombat 11 default outfit. Yes, that's right, a default outfit that's already this low on the list, but I think this was just an overcourse correction. Basically, everybody complained about how Jacqui's design was super boring in MKX due to its lack of color or memorable unique features. In MK11, they wanted Jacqui to look cool and unique, so they gave her robot armor essentially. The addition of green as a prominent and saturated color is great, but giving her this white armor plating with glowing bits all around just screams like injustice, and that's not a good thing. And there was literally a great middle ground that they could have had, that they do have, but didn't make it the default, but we'll get to that later. I just think this is really out of place. If you look at Jacqui among the other Special Forces characters, at least the MKX outfit fit that theme and style a lot more. Maybe too much, but this just makes you go, why are they not all in robot armor? That's what makes the Special Forces unique, is how grounded they are. They're military. Hell, Jacqui's father is the most military character, so you'd think she'd follow in his footsteps. Again, I get it's to make the character more unique and cool after a poor first outing, and this will be a controversial stance to take, but in my opinion, it was a step backwards. Also, come on, bro. You go from robot stuff, to damn running shoes? At number 17, we're finally at Cassie Cage with her endurance outfit from Mortal Kombat X. This is Cassie in her training / workout gear, and as a casual design for her, it's perfectly serviceable, for the most part. There are parts that are certainly not serviceable, but I can't help but look at the concept art for this design and think, why does it look so much better there? Not much change, so it has to be it just doesn't translate all that well to an in-game model. The gloves, which as a combat sports fan, I love the inclusion of, look more like motorcycle gloves here than MMA gloves. The pants look kinda weird and unfitting, and also the glasses being the defaults really suck, cause the concept art ones are fire. I get that it's because the sunglasses are tied to the variation, so for whatever reason they can't be changed, but man, it's a damn shame. And I'm not letting this design off the hook that easy. This hair, horrible. Terrible. Thank God Cassie lets her hair grow out in MK11, cause damn girl, your barber needs to go. At number 16, I have Jacqui's MKX default. We just mentioned this one earlier, and while I do think it's better than the MK11 one, not by much. Those criticisms people made that I talked about, they aren't suddenly invalid just because I think they went in the wrong direction for the next game. This is almost ridiculously generic. Any female Special Forces character could wear this. Hell, a man could wear this and no one bats an eye, main character or not. I think it's especially bad considering Jax is known for being among the more visually striking Special Forces characters, so when his daughter is so bland, it makes you go, he needed to drink more pineapple juice. Kids definitely won't be bland then. How I would fix this design is definitely not the MK11 route, but instead start by giving her a signature color, maybe green like how they went with, purple maybe to honor her father, some concept art has yellow which I think could work, just give her something other than gray. Then make the gauntlets more visually interesting and just larger. Come on, her father is Jax, you gotta level those bad boys up. They are her unique feature that makes her stand out. And finally, throw away the jacket, hit the gym, and let her show off those guns. She's a Briggs for God's sake, let her gain some muscle and show off. So yeah, Jacqui certainly has other problems as a character, but no doubt a lot of people's aggressive indifferentness towards her stems from this nothing character design. At number 15, I have Cassie's undercover outfit from Mortal Kombat X. This is the first one on this list that I think looks genuinely just good. It's nothing groundbreaking. Johnny has had tuxedo outfits since MK4, and now his daughter is taking after him, but it just looks very clean. The touch of red highlights they add to this one really makes it pop. The tactical gloves combined with the stylish professionalism of the suit is a really nice contrast, and especially if you use the variation where Cassie is wearing the sunglasses, she just looks super badass in it. I mean, women in suits. Need I say more? 10 out of 10. At number 14, I have Jacqui's boot camp outfit from Mortal Kombat X. This one really only has one major change to the default, and that's that it removes her jacket and gives her a dark blue tank top instead. This is an improvement. The dark blue adds a bit of a splash of color, nothing crazy, it is just dark blue, but you know, it's MKX, so that's honestly impressive. But also, like I said earlier, Jacqui is a Briggs. They show off their assets, their guns. Now, unfortunately, MK is weirdly reluctant to have female characters look strong and buff, you know, in a fighting game. I mean, just compare it to Street Fighter. God damn. So it doesn't really work as well as it could have, but hey, another positive is that since she's no longer wearing a gray jacket, the gauntlets are a bit more noticeable since they now contrast both in color and size to her arms. So yes, this should have been Jacqui's default, but overall, it wouldn't have done that much to improve her character. At number 13, I have Cassie's MK11 Santa Annis design. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I don't know why it's called that, but this is just her alternate that she wears very briefly during certain points in MK11's story. It's not very different from her default at all, just less armory and more cloth and loose fitting, so I'm going to save most of my talking points for when I get to that design. And this is why I don't cover all the MK11 outfits. Half the list would just be that. At number 12 and number 11, I have Cassie and Jacqui's cosplay outfits from Mortal Kombat X. Yeah, I love these, you love these, we all love these, but obviously since they're not real Cassie and Jacqui designs, in fact they're taken from two completely different characters, I can't rank them all the way in the top 10, but they're super fun. If I were to make changes, I think making them feel a bit more like cosplay rather than just the literal costumes would have been a nice touch. I know cosplays have continued to get more and more insane as the years have gone on, but with their jobs, no way are Cassie and Jacqui spending the time to get costumes that are this accurate, and I think exaggerating the homemade feel could have been great. But overall, they both look really cool. These are among the most popular costumes I see online when playing against these two, and it makes sense, two hot women cosplaying as the two badass poster boys of the series. I mean, that is just peak right there. Now, if I had to rank them, which one's number 12 and which one's number 11, it's very difficult. Jacqui has that quilt pattern, which I love on these ninja outfits, but I think I'm going to give the slight edge to Cassie because blue is a little bit better than yellow in my opinion. She's also got a cooler mask and her hair is coming through the hood a bit, which is a really nice touch. So yeah, Jacqui at 12, Cassie at 11, but they're both basically in the same spot because they're so similar in how amazing they are. Breaking into the top 10, at number 10, I have Kung Jin's Mortal Kombat X default. The best thing by far, like a straight mile ahead of everything else, is the design of the bow. Absolute cinema right here. Bows, as in bow and arrow, are not real Shaolin weapon, so this game fuses the bow with the bow staff, creating this freaking beauty of a weapon that doubles as both a blunt weapon and a ranged one. And the design with it looking like a long gold dragon, even having the head at the very top, which Jin uses to absolutely bash people's skulls, it's fantastic and easily places this design in the top 10 by itself. But unfortunately, it does end up at the bottom of the top 10 because I don't think the rest of the outfit lives up to the weapon. It's just quite generic and forgettable. And hey, maybe that's due to comparing it to the legendary designs of Liu Kang and Kung Lao, but to me, this doesn't even feel like a Shaolin. The armor on the shoulder, the weird headgear that has no true Shaolin origins, it feels very Archer, which is a good thing, but kinda abandons the character's main background. The colors are also a tragedy, seriously. The thing is mostly brown. There are hints of a green, orange, and red color scheme, which, boy, have not had a great track record at MK, but I'd like to have seen them try more with that than just brown. I do like the decals he has on the left part of his vest, and this certainly isn't a bad design, but just kind of disappointing when you think of what could have been for this character. At number 9, I have Cassie's Mortal Kombat X default. I may get crucified for this, the fans of this design are quite vocal and defensive about it, but listen, it's number 9, it's not bad, I just think improvements could have been and were made. My main thing is that I think the color of the bodysuit could have been better. It's gray, maybe a desaturated blue if you're generous. I think it would look much better with a darker but more saturated color, either blue or dark purple, similar to Jill's bodysuit from RE5. Wow, 2 Resident Evil references in one video. This is clearly a sign that Nemesis is coming into MK13. There's a variation that adds yellow gloves as well, which I think is a great addition, and they could have had more of that color since I think it works well with this design. Also, maybe some green in there? I'm biased, green is my favorite color, but both Johnny and Sonya have prominent green features, so it's not completely random. Now, I'm not saying all these colors should be here. We don't need Cassie looking like she's attending a pride parade. Or maybe we do. You know what? More power to that. But I think a combo with 2 of these colors could work well. Probably either yellow with green or yellow with dark blue or purple. Other than that though, the actual design I quite like. It's an example of an outfit that's attractive without being overly revealing or forcing the character in random suggestive poses. Looking at you, Marvel Rivals. And it looks cool, especially with the sunglasses. I wish we could have had these sunglasses and the earpiece, but variation system, that's just how it goes. And I will say, her hair here, I like quite a bit more than her MK11 hair. It just has more personality. It feels like Johnny because it's a little flashy, but also Sonya because the military like shaving heads. So like the sides being shaved kind of fits that, I guess. I don't know. At number 8, I have Jacqui's best design in my opinion, her running and gunning skin from MK11. This is the exact outfit from the default, but without the torso robot armor, and it looks so much better. The armor on the legs are still there, but they're not nearly as in your face as what was on her chest. I'd like Jacqui's chest in my face. Hey, who said that? Knock it off. It's the perfect blend between the boot camp tank top look that was more militaristic with the more high-tech stuff Jacqui has in MK11. Plus, it is so much more vibrant and eye-catching with the colors, leaning all in on the green instead of being mostly white on the default, and MKX doing what MKX does. The super jarring footwear is still present, and yeah, why, NRS, what are we doing? But here it's a little more consistent with the rest of the outfit, whereas on the default, it's just a complete shift in aesthetic. Listen, Jacqui is a character that's gonna have it tough from now till the heat death of the universe, but I really think it was a mistake making such a jarring shift because now we basically have 2 completely different characters, whereas the best way to make a character more likable is to show their growth. But when you just flip a switch and she's like this now, that's not gonna work. And even though this design wouldn't fix all her problems or anything, it represents them developing her character instead of just changing it, which is what I think they should have done. At number 7, I have Cassie's MK11 default outfit. This is her MKX design with just a little bit more sauce, a little bit extra spice to it. It is a lot more armory, it's still a bodysuit, but it's got this plating on it, not robot stuff like Jacqui has, but more grounded, natural feeling body armor, so I don't mind it. This one is mostly green and off-white with some brown and even little blue highlights. I actually don't like the blue, I think yellow would have worked a lot better, or just remove them entirely. I like how this one feels a lot more mature than the MKX one. She kind of feels like she's ranked up, mostly because she quite literally has. And it of course incorporates the green, which I'm a huge fan of, not just because I like the color, but for thematic reasons as well. Now that I think about it, I kind of like how Cassie in MKX doesn't wear green, because now in MK11 where she is, it kind of represents how Johnny and Sonya have gotten back together, with them both having green aspects of their design, and now that's reflecting onto Cassie. Sonya does immediately get slimed out though, breaking up the family. Damn it, I thought I was onto something. And yeah, there's honestly a bigger debate online than you'd think about whether this design or the MKX design is better. It's pretty split. Some like the more flashy MKX costume, some like the more colorful and realistic MK11 one. I will say, if there's one thing I'd give the MKX design over this one, it is, like I said earlier, the hair. The MKX one is a lot more fitting to her personality, while this one is a bit more generic, just a ponytail, something Sonya's worn in the past, so I don't really like that they got rid of Cassie's individuality in that aspect. At number 6, I have Kung Jin's Shadow or Thief skin from Mortal Kombat X. There's not really much more to say about this one than dark themed skins are just badass. And I think I would have really liked if Kung Jin's character went more in this direction, the bad boy of the Shaolin who steals for the poor or bends the rules a little bit. There are hints of that with his character, obviously mostly in his own chapter, but it doesn't get explored nearly enough for me to really like him, and he just comes off as an ass most of the time. But beyond me feeling rebellious for using the skin, you got Kung Jin in a hood and mask. It doesn't have a mask in the story mode, but it does in game, and that's the one I'm counting. But yeah, the hooded archer look is just peak. Look at Green Arrow. In fact, the one thing I think this design is missing is some black markings around the eyes, similar to the first season of Arrow. Also, stop me if I'm not cooking, but why does Kung Jin low-key have a better Ermac design than the actual MKX Ermac? Is that just me? But yeah, I really quite like this Kung Jin design, and it makes me think of all the possibilities for this character's story that we just never got to see. Hell, the dude is barely in the MKX comics. I really wish we could have seen his character growth play out in real time, but oh well. We're not quite done with Kung Jin yet though, because I think his best design at the number 5 spot is from Mortal Kombat 1's ending pyramid battle, where you briefly see the Kombat Kids. Now, while Jacqui got shafted and only gets a recolor of her MK11 design, Takeda, obviously, Kung Jin, and technically Cassie, but I'll get to that in a bit, get new designs. Kung Jin's design was so new that people speculated that he would return in MK1 as DLC, and I don't blame him. The dude had a fully unique model created for this game from scratch, and it's really good in my opinion. The best design he has out of all the games. Now technically, the one you see in-game is the yellow and black recolor, but I'm finna just ignore that and rank the full color version from the game files. Credit to Calzone on Twitter for the extracted model. Firstly, I love that scar on his cheek. I know it's just such a tiny detail, but it adds to what I was talking about earlier with Jin feeling like the bad boy who gets into trouble and scraps in the Shaolin. Not because he's an asshole, but because he stands up for what he believes in very aggressively. The colors are also much better, utilizing more green, more red, and adding some yellow. They also got rid of the stupid headgear and gave him a way better hairstyle that just feels more Shaolin to me. And they kept the bow, which is just peak. Love that. And so yeah, kind of like Ermac and MK11, kind of a shame they had the modelers design something this complex and unlike MK11 Ermac, actually really good, only to not use it for a playable character or even a cameo. Weird. The one non-binary character of MK and the one gay character. I'm sensing a pattern here, NRS, and I'm not sure I like it. At number 4, speaking of that MK1 pyramid scene, I have Cassie's MK1 design. Now this outfit is mostly a recolor that makes her MK11 design black and yellow. Personally, I think it looks quite good, but I wouldn't normally rank it. I don't rank recolors. However, it does change her face model, which is one thing, but most importantly, it gives her her MKX hair. MK11 Cassie with the MKX hair to me is perfection. That's the best of both merged into one design, and it's the definitive Cassie to me. So yeah, a little anticlimactic, but it's just the logical conclusion to come to. I like this part of this thing, but I like this other part of this other thing, put the things I like together, and you get a very happy oddity. But there's a person we haven't talked about in quite a long time, and I'm here to announce that this video is officially no longer Kombat Kids designs ranked, but instead Takeda designs ranked, because he takes all the top 3 spots. Starting at number 3, I have his Mortal Kombat 1 default. This was pretty tight between number 3 and number 2. I can flip-flop between them depending on the day, but I have his most recent design falling behind by just a smidge. And that's mostly because, while it's very colorful and I appreciate that, it is very injustice-y, armory with glowing bits, and I always find that just a little bit tacky. It doesn't look bad here necessarily, it's number 3 on this list, but just the way the other designs go about things, I like more conceptually. I used to be way harsher on this design though, when it first got revealed, and I think that's mostly because it was shown alongside this piece of shit, and Ermac's stank must have wafted Takeda's way at the time, because I have come around to it a lot. The super vibrant yellow looks fantastic. The way the top of the skull mask is yellow while the bottom jaw part is black looks super cool. I also appreciate that they went for a more blue hue rather than just gray for most of the outfit, and I do like the almost V shape of the design, the way it's wide at the top where the shoulders are, and then gets smaller and sharper at the bottom. Kinda reminds me of a ninja vest, just way more mechanical and less cloth. So yeah, like I said, very close between this and number 2. I really do appreciate the colors this one has, but I think it just gets outdone a little conceptually by the next spot. And at that runner-up spot, I got Takeda's MKX default. Now this design, if you just describe it, sounds like everything I would hate in a Mortal Kombat design. Very armory and very gray. But I think the gray mechanical armor is done quite well here, all things considered, especially taking into account what game this is from. I will say I'm not a fan of the grungy yellow, basically orange of the headband and highlights. That's the one thing I don't like, but I'm shockingly pretty fond of this kind of armor this time around. It doesn't have that clean plating and glowing bits that the MK1 outfit has, that injustice look. It kind of feels handmade, like it was built in a cave.
With a box of scraps!
So it doesn't have that artificial robot look to it. MK1 does have the big color advantage, but the tackiness of it, I just had to choose this one. I would prefer a more ninja Shirai Ryu look for Takeda, which is something very important to keep in mind going forward, but considering his weapons with the Ronin blades and the mechanical whips, I kinda have to put my preferences aside because this just makes way more sense. Also, the mask, peak. Is it controversial to say that the skull mask looks better? No, not even just better. Way better on Takeda than it does on Scorpion. Boom. Shots fired. Watch your back, Hanzo. So yeah, if you have this at number 1, I completely understand. That is 100% a valid take. In fact, that's what I expect from most people. I just like the number 1 spot more for personal aesthetic reasons, but I'm not gonna lie, this one probably goes even harder from some angles. Look at the aura! But at number 1, my undisputed number 1 from the moment I began this list, I have Takeda's Shirai Ryu outfit. This is the one he wears during the flashback where he trains with Hanzo and reunites with Kenshi. Pure Ninja Takeda will always be my favorite interpretation of the character. It's how we were introduced to him in the MKX comics. But this is the only design in the games that even attempts to capture that Shirai Ryu warrior side of the character, which I much prefer to all the high-tech armory stuff. If I had it my way, I'd probably make Takeda the most ninja character of the franchise, using shuriken, daggers, all that stuff, rather than whips and lightsabers. Getting to the design itself, it's not completely ninja the way I would like, since there needs to be some mechanical stuff or else it wouldn't make sense in gameplay, but it's basically a ninja outfit with that stuff kind of slapped over it, which I don't mind. The yellow is actually a very nice color. CMKX, this is how you do yellow ninjas. Not like this. And the black beneath it isn't gray or armory, it's a nice black color and it's cloth. I think this one is just the most perfect blend between clean and badass on this list. You know, it's not try hard, but it's also not boring either, which is great because the Kombat Kids, I'm not gonna lie, they kind of struggle to find that balance a lot. I do wish we would get just a straight up Ninja Takeda, not like with the full hood, like a palette swap or anything, but just something like his MKX comic look I'd really love to see. But that'll do it. Let me know your favorites and least favorite designs from this list in the comments down below. Subscribe and leave a like if you want, and that's wraps on this one with fellow Wannabes. I'll see you next time.